Whoops. I just hit the wrong. I just hit something and I have no idea. It looks like we're on the air, but I can't even tell because I hit.
It says live.
Okay, good. Well, we're on the air and I hit something that took me someplace else. Okay, great. That's part of the polished professionalism of a walk in the woods at midnight. I have no idea. I hit a button that I didn't even mean to. And great. Okay, so we're live. My name's Jess, and this is Jenny.
Hello.
And we are part of the team. We are the team that brings you our reviews of scary movies that we love and enjoy. And this week we are reviewing not my technical skills with Google Hangouts because they're obviously awful. I hit a button and took us someplace I don't even know. Something popped up on my screen. I don't even know what it was. But we're reviewing the two movies, Veronica, which is a Spanish movie with subtitles, and Hereditary. My friend Luis, who does Comics Guide 101, has been banging the table for me to see Hereditary for over a year now. And I think also my friend Matthew Sibley has also been telling me to watch Hereditary forever. But we'll start with Veronica, which is a Spanish language film that has gotten press from Netflix. It's on Netflix, and it's gotten press as being so scary that people stopped watching it halfway through.
It's a perfect marketing technique. I loved it. I don't know that I totally agree with it, but I think that it was. I think that it was pretty scary. I think that it was fun, scary, and I think that it was genuine. I think there were jump scares in it, but they were good jump scares. It wasn't like a cat like jumping across the screen. It wasn't like jumping across the screen to like, they were like really like scary jump scares.
Yeah, well, let's see if we can set the
Oh yeah.
set it
Shall I?
up. Yeah, you want to set it up because it
Yes.
involved the thing that terrifies me most is Ouija boards, and it's not actually the boards themselves that terrify me, but it's what Ouija boards bring up, which is the unseen and the unknown. That's what freaks me out. So go ahead and read a synopsis of what this movie's about.
Okay, so this is from the very acclaimed website IMDb,
Okay.
and it's just like a very quick synopsis of it, which is it's Madrid in 1991, which is an interesting choice. I'd like to know what you think about that in a bit. And a teen girl finds herself besieged by an evil supernatural force after she played Ouija with her two classmates. We should also say that this takes place in a Catholic school.
Right. It also, here's the one thing I know. So things start going bad for this girl, right after they start the Ouija board antics. And one thing I noticed, and I'm trying to draw something to it, and I'm not sure that I can make the connection, but maybe you can, is that there is a solar eclipse with the moon moving in front of the sun when they do the seance, the Ouija board thing, and they make a big deal out of the fact that this young girl has not gotten her period yet.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm wondering, and she suffers a lot of in this movie, a lot of paranoia and sort of schizophrenia and mental illness kind of episodes that
you're kind of left wondering. Yeah.
I'm wondering, are they trying to make a statement of the fact? Are they? I'm just wondering where the menstruation part comes in.
Yeah.
Are they? Is that a separate thing?
I think it's similar. Like I think it does connect. Like what you're picking up on, I think is definitely there. What I noticed was that they were talking about in class, they were prior to kind of all this happening when she was kind of like, you know, she was supposed to bring this Ouija board to school and she was showing a friend like this Ouija board. They were a little distracted, but in the background in class, they were talking about sacrifice, I believe.
Mm,
And so the virgin, the sacrifice, kind of like I think that there was really something there. And I think also with regard to the solar eclipse, which is maybe kind of the frame that they were talking about it in class, that might have been kind of like why they were talking about it. Um, it was, you know, I think that it was definitely related to that.
okay. Now we
That's
haven't
my
we haven't cheated and done any research on the internet, so these are all our own suppositions. So we may be teetering on the edge of figuring it out, but we may not have made the exact supposition. These are all suppositions on our part. We just haven't quite grabbed it yet. Um, but because that just came to me that you know, she's in her bed now. There may be some spoilers here. We're going to try and not spoil it too much, but she does suffer from a lot of dreams. Once she's lost her father, and that's why she does the seance with the Ouija board,
Mhm.
and she wants to contact her father, and she does suffer from a lot of dreams, and in one of them, I believe she does finally get her period, and it causes her to start lifting up. It stains her bed, and it causes her to
Mhm.
start lifting up the beds, and there are shadows stains underneath all the beds, and
Yeah, like under the mattresses, it was
right,
almost like something seeping through from and in the shape of like the different family members
right,
sleeping.
right.
So yeah, so I mean, you know, I think that was I think that was definitely something. I think that she also was, after her father had died, her mom had to work a lot. Veronica was left stuck kind of taking care of her. I think it was like three siblings who were quite young.
Right.
Um, and got and yeah, I mean the period, because you're right, it was mentioned twice. Once when there was like the school nurse after Veronica had passed out, you know, like after they were playing Ouija board. The
Mm.
nurse at the school says, like, kind of like it's on you, like, do you have your period right now? And she was like, no. She was like, have you gotten your period? She's 15, and she said no. And so the nurse was sort of surprised about that. And then when she did get her period, it was this kind of like horrific event for her. Um, which, as someone who got their period a little bit before then, yeah, it is kind of horrifying. But for her, I think it was a whole big event, and I don't know if that might have been a little bit attached to, like, what she was seeing the picture of womanhood being, which was
Mm.
basically, like, you know, her like tending to everyone else. I mean, she was already doing that, but then getting her period and becoming a woman was maybe like a big signal that, you know, this was going to go on indefinitely. It's like, great, this is womanhood. That's
Right.
kind of what I kind of thought, of that. What did you think about her? Because they focus so much on the fact that she was really responsible for her three younger siblings. And, you know, I mean, it was definitely like something that it seemed like she kind of resented. What did you draw a line between that and like what was going on in her life with regard to the demon or the schizophrenia or whatever it was that was driving her?
I felt like she did a good job in the beginning. She was really holding it together. in the beginning. But
Mhm.
you're right, as it went on, she started to get more resentful, but she was also she also started to either hallucinate or she really saw these demons, and she was starting to lose it, and she was getting more resentful, but she was getting more protective too of the kids.
Mhm.
But was she being protectful of the kids, or was she trying to hurt the kids?
Yeah.
That's sort of a question that the movie leaves open.
Oh, that's really interesting. That is
Was
really
she,
interesting.
yeah, was she the one trying to hurt the kids, or was she trying to protect the kids while she was trying to hurt the kids? I don't know. The movie
Right.
leaves a lot of things open for interpretation, I think, that I really I kind of appreciate open-ended movies. Like, not everything has to be cut and dried for me. I appreciate the
Mhm.
fact that it can be open for interpretation. So that, to me, sometimes it looks like she's trying to hurt them as she's trying to protect them at the same time.
Right, right. And it is almost kind of like, I think before we got on this call, we were talking a little bit about what we thought was kind of really going on here in the movie. And you had kind of mentioned like the doppelganger thing,
Right.
the double, and like what does that mean? And I think that you know, I mean, after she kind it was kind of like, I mean, they played the Ouija board after that kind of was starting to get her life was starting to get weird after that event.
Hmm.
And she did get her period, which is a sign of growing up and of womanhood. That's kind of when she started to really focus on protecting slash hurting. So it's like, does she want to get rid of the kids really? Like half of her kind of does want to get rid of the kids because this is a massive drain on her life
Right.
versus versus like really wanting to protect them and take that mothership role, that she's kind of had but has really kind of, like you said, taken on with a kind of a ugh, like a okay, I guess I have to do this.
Something definitely happened in the basement with the Ouija board, because her friends freak out and start to separate away from her. So she's not hallucinating that. Something definitely happened enough to make her friends freak out and want to separate away from Veronica, because they all of a sudden become very standoffish towards her. So we didn't. Um, Something definitely did happen there, um, to make them want to stay away from Veronica.
Yeah. I wanted to know, just because, this is a the Ouija board is a deep in your brainstem fear,
Yes,
which
it
I'd
is.
love to explore psychologically, actually. I think that's really interesting because whenever somebody has, and I have them too, somebody has a really particular fear, that's really interesting. I wanted to know more about what you thought of that scene, with the Ouija board and the three girls who play it, Veronica and her two other high school friends. And I'd love to know a little bit about, where did this start with you? Like, where did this kind of like very particular fear come from, and what is it about it that makes it scary to you?
Well, first I will say, as far as the acting goes, I will get to the Ouija board thing, but I wanted to just give a shout out to the acting. One reason I like smaller indie films and foreign films is that I'm not familiar with the actors at all. And when the actors are really good in a foreign or indie film, smaller indie film, I can really get immersed in it, and it's really believable. And all the actors in this, including the little kids, were really good, and so this was really believable for me. When the little kids are good actors, I mean, then I was, Veronica herself was great, her friends were great, and the little kids in this movie were great. So
I
I
gotta
was
agree with you.
I
Yeah.
was really sold on this happening. So this felt like it was like one of those sort of found footage movies to me, where it was just happening and being filmed. I think the Ouija board angle is, I think I said it at the beginning of the movie, is sort of, it's not the, it's what the board represents. It, and this happens in Hereditary too. It doesn't, there isn't a Ouija board per se, but there is a glass that moves to show the presence of the unseen, and that's what freaks me out. The unseen, the unknown. You know, Freddy slashing somebody or Jason chopping somebody up. To me, that's not necessarily terrifying, although the music, you know, amped up, can always terrify me in a movie. But
Mm-hmm.
the unknown, when you're getting those jump scares and you turn around and nothing's there, and then you turn around again and something's there, that's what the Ouija board represents to me. That it's bringing up something from somewhere deep and evil, that the Ouija board calls on spirits that aren't supposed to be here, and they start appearing, and that's what that's what my particular fear is. Like I'm sure there are movies out there that scare people that won't scare me, and these particular movies
Mm-hmm.
may not scare other people, but these particular movies are the ones that hit a core in me, because these spirits aren't supposed to be here. And so when they get called up,
I
I'm
think
like,
you're right.
ah.
Yeah, and really, I think the Ouija board is kind of like the phone line or the gate for
Yeah,
like letting these spirits in, and that may be something that's really weird. And I think, yeah, I mean, whenever that communication starts, because it's something that, and it's one of those goofy things that we all do when we're kids, and there is this deep fear in the back of your mind that's like, oh my God, what if this works? You know, and I definitely I retain that too. I think the points that you make about the unseen, it's funny because it's people like a lot of times movies spend, you know, like these film creators spend so much time and effort on what the monster is supposed to look like, or what the evil, you know, presence is supposed to look like. But when it's you can't see anything, that opens up your imagination to
yeah,
the very worst thing.
I agree. Show me. I mean, you can show me a demon monster breathing fire and stuff, and I'll just go, okay. You show me a chair that moves on its own, and I'm like, I am out of here. I, that's like, you show me stuff that moves on its own power, and I'm like, uh-oh. So
Yes.
that's what freaks me out. So what so Veronica, did you like it, and would you recommend it to people as a scary movie to see?
Okay, so, yes, I did like it. I thought, and like, so that's that part. Do I think it was good? I think it was pretty good. I think it, you know, for a horror film, I think that this was really, really strong. And, you know, depending on the person, I think, I mean, if somebody just said, I love horror movies, I would say, have you seen Veronica? You probably should. And how about for you?
Uh, yeah, I think that it probably is a personal thing. Uh, since you and I think seem to like a certain genre of horror movie, I would find out what genre the person liked, and if they like the genre that we like, I would say they should see this movie. This movie was scary to me, a good scary movie to me. It hit all the right notes for me. I would definitely recommend this. I would definitely recommend this movie. I thought the acting was great. I thought the plot and story were great. The way it was told, I 100% thought this was a good scary movie. I really enjoyed it. I was
So both of us
Yes,
recommend.
we both recommend this
Recommend.
movie,
Okay. Yep.
and
So,
we're
oh,
gonna.
go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say we're gonna try and keep to just 15 minutes on Hereditary, because we don't want to make your 10 minutes on Hereditary because we don't want to.
It'll be easy to spin out of control on this one. So we really are going to we really are going to make every effort to keep this as concise as we can while probing into some of the things that that really kind of struck us as being important to the story or just plain cool and scary. So a quick synopsis. After the family matriarch passes away, the mother, or the grandmother, really, a grieving family is haunted by tragic and disturbing occurrences and begin to unravel dark secrets. All right. So,
Unravel is
Jess, I
right.
want to know your impressions of the full film first.
Well, Unravel is right. That family unravels really fast. I there's so much. I'm going to try and keep this really brief because there was a lot of moving parts to this movie, starting with Toni Collette, who is really moving up there on my list of actresses or
Oh,
actors that can act. She can
she
do.
is astonishing in this. She's so good. It was crazy. It was so I mean, I knew she was talented, but this, I think you're right, whole new level
Yeah,
for her
I
here.
I forgot. If I knew, I forgot how great an actress she really is. What she can do with her face is like what Jack Nicholson can do with his eyebrows. I mean, she has all kinds of expressiveness in her face. She carries this movie. This is like a one-woman movie practically because she's in so many of the scenes and goes through so many emotions.
Hmm.
She's grieving for her mother, sort of. She is affected by her mother's death. She gets affected by other deaths. She gets affected by distance between herself and her teenage son. She has this odd relationship with her daughter. She's got this odd job where she creates these miniature um, uh,
Like buildings or almost like doll
dioramas,
houses.
doll houses. Yeah, and she's an artist that creates these. I know that is probably a half-hour show right there, examining what that
Yeah.
all means to the movie, because of examining what she does for a living. And she's an artist that creates these miniature diorama dollhouse scenes of all these various things. And I don't know what Gabriel Byrne does for a living. He seems
I
to
think
have
he's
an
a
office.
psychologist or a
Oh, okay,
psychiatrist,
okay,
which can explain why he is kind of trying to hold the entire family together and giving her, at least at first, some space to grieve, and he's really understanding. Um,
right.
I mean, you're right. I mean, there are a lot of layers here, and I mean, to me, a lot of this spoke to the grief of losing. I mean, I don't know. I think she was confused by the relationship with her mother and definitely resentful of just the kind of the weird relationship that she had had with her whole life. And then because her mom was into some really weird stuff. And
Yeah,
the death you're referring to, can I say,
yeah.
is
For those of you who haven't seen it yet, we're gonna have to spoil this to talk about the movie. So if you haven't seen Hereditary, you should probably stop watching now.
stop right here.
Stop right here because we're gonna have to spoil it to talk about it because it's a major,
And
it's
then
a
come back
major.
after you've seen it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
this
yeah.
is a major hook in the movie that I did not see coming at all, and this and the ending were huge surprises to me. This main thing that happened in the movie. Go right ahead.
Yeah, so, at one point, after her mother has passed away, which really broke up the little girl. She had two kids, the boy who was older and the girl who was younger. And it really deeply affected the girl. The older son kind of was like, whatever, along the lines of kind of how the mom felt more or less. There were definitely more deep-seated things going on with the mom. But at one point, the just, the daughter was killed at one point in an accident. And there was a part where she had first found this out, and she was the way that she was grieving was so gut-wrenching. I mean,
Mm.
she was, like, on the floor and just, like, I can't even live because this hurts so bad. I sobbed for I sobbed through the scene,
Hmm.
probably 5 minutes after.
Yeah, I
It was
believe
so
it.
deeply affecting. Um, and yeah, and so that was something that ended up leading to some other very strange things in the home where there was some blame that will it's hard when something like this happens, clearly, because you're trying to look for a reason or someone to be mad at. And I think because of that, the family's really clashing. And I think that through the rest of the movie, there's a desperate feeling of wanting to reconnect with this child who you've lost. And it's very, I think that the acting that you talked about, Toni Collette's acting, is so affecting. And it's just, you feel everything that she's feeling, and it's raw. It
Yeah,
is raw.
very
And
raw.
yeah. Um, so I I wanted to ask you this too. I wanted to ask how literally you interpreted this. Was this a because what happens, as the synopsis kind of covered, is that things kind of go crazy because of all this grief, or not, or because of other forces, and it ends in a completely bizarre way, which
Yeah.
actually makes perfect sense. But what did you think? Did you take this literally, figuratively, both?
Um, I will say that the daughter's death, the way it was handled, and the discovery of the body and everything, that was incredibly brutal and raw, as you say, and uh, the most disturbing part in the movie. I found this movie to be. I mean, there's plenty of kind of jumpy, scary things in this movie, but I mean that part to me was. I found this movie to be more disturbing, which is fine. Uh, um, Disturbing is good when it comes to a scary movie. You want emotions to be churned up in a scary movie. That's why you want to watch them. That's why I want to watch them anyway.
Yes.
Is to,
Yeah.
to get your emotions churned up. So that to me was the peak disturbing moment in a movie full of disturbing moments.
Yeah.
Discovery of the body in the attic, all the flies. I mean, that's never a good sign when you've got a bunch of flies hanging around. Um, I the the I thought it was good and chilling when she discovered the woman that who the Joni, who was supposedly helping her
Yes.
get Charlie, the deceased daughter, when she was helping her contact
And
Charlie
that
in the
woman is
afterlife.
amazing. She's
Yeah,
amazing in everything she's in.
yeah, I've
Um,
seen her in a
I'm gonna
TV
try to
show.
find her name because she deserves a shout. Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen her in a TV show called The Good Something. I can't think of what it is. It's with the girl from Downton Abbey, and I can't think of what it is. But she plays an FBI detective, and they really frump her up in that. And she's I almost didn't recognize her. She was so much prettier in this. Joni was because they really frump her up in this show. Um, but
Oh,
she
her name
yeah
is Ann Dowd for
right
anyone. Yeah, she deserves a shout. She's
yeah she
amazing in
she
everything.
really did she really did a good job in this. Um, but what was my point? Oh, when Tony Collette finds the connection between Joni and her deceased mother, Joni was ostensibly helping her try to connect with Charlie, and then
Her
you
dead
find
daughter.
her dead daughter, and then which involved a moving cup and chairs moving on their own, and a flaming candle that shouldn't have been able to flame, which of course I dug all that stuff because it's totally scary and
That is
shouldn't
all Jess.
happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the kind of stuff that freaks me out, and so I love it. Um, and so when she makes the connection that Joni is not who she should be, Toni Collette, really starts to go over the edge at this point, and beseeches Gabriel Byrne, her husband, to try and listen to it. And what she's saying makes sense because we've been following the movie, but to Gabriel Byrne, it's complete babble and is gibberish, but it makes sense to us because we've been following her in the movie. We've got to burn this notebook, and it all makes sense now that this woman was part of my mom's evil life before she died, um, and it leads to an ending that I was like, "Whoa!" I don't even know what to make of this ending. I didn't even I want to say the ending felt tacked on, except it's obvious that this movie was headed for this ending the whole way because of the words that were said at the end, that all the incidents that happened in the movie were geared towards this ending. So it wasn't a tacked on ending. It was an ending that was supposed to happen. It seemed jarring and kind of and weird, but it was the ending that the director and writer wanted to happen. So it just felt really it felt like an odd ending to me, but it also um, it also felt it didn't feel inorganic. It felt like an organic ending. It just felt like
Mhm.
an odd organic ending to me, sort of, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I definitely understand that. And what I did, I cheated. I did just a tiny bit of research
Oh, that's
because
good. Explain it to me. Good. Tell me what's going on.
so I can attempt to at least just give a couple of facts that I kind of noticed during the movie. So, one was, did you notice like that I think there were at least two beheadings in the movie,
Right. I did notice
right?
that.
Which is a weird way to die. Two times, to have this, to have this particular way of dying happen. And what I learned, because they kept talking about this demon named Payman. I think that's what his name was, but
Right.
he is basically like the right hand man, the right hand demon of Satan, and he's kind of like he is a teacher. He knows everything. He can share knowledge, and he is kind of like um, he can bring you money and fortune and all these things, which explains why he would have a cult, right? Because people want these things. And the grandmother was part of that cult, and so the head separating from the body in demonology has something to do with separating the brain from the soul.
Oh,
So that's something to think about.
separating the
Um,
brain from the soul. Okay.
yeah. So if you think about, you know, the soul leaving the body, right? You would kind of have to forget who you are, or, because I think that I don't know. I mean, there,
Well,
I haven't solved it all.
no, but
But
that's interesting because they
that was
said
some
that Charlie was the first receptacle, and so they would have had to have beheaded her because Charlie was the first receptacle for the demon's body, for the
yeah,
demon's
for the
soul,
demon
rather.
soul, demon
So they would
spirit,
have
yeah.
had to have beheaded her, so he couldn't then move on to Peter uh, at the end.
Yeah, yes.
And was the second beheading Tony Collette beheading herself up in the attic?
Yes. Yes.
Because I noticed
And
I
that
heard a
is
thump after they moved from the. Yeah, that was
yeah,
weird.
that was weird, and but also, like, necessary, I guess, because if you looked at the, her her mother, Toni Collette's mother, after she had died, had all of these spiritual books like in her room boxed up. And Toni Collette opens up one of these spiritual guidebooks or whatever, sees that note that is basically like, sometimes we have to sacrifice for our children. And I think, you know, and so the grandmother clearly thought that this demon was everything. In fact, when Charlie was born, she was sort of like, I wish you were male, which we find out later is
Oh,
because
right,
he prefers a male body.
right.
But Charlie, the
Okay.
girl, was the one who was sort of like blessed with, and the grandmother cannot get rid of her. I mean, like, the grandmother can't detach from this kid. There's clearly this relationship. So she cares for the demon within her granddaughter. And then at the end, finally gets that male receptacle who is the boy,
Right.
the son.
Right.
Um,
Okay.
One of the scariest parts for me, and I really want to hear what you thought, although you might have already said yours, is when
I said what
there's
the most disturbing part was.
with the most disturbing part.
Yeah, but I'll have
Yes,
to think about what the
I there
scariest
was a
part was. Go ahead.
okay. To me, what happened that was the freakiest thing in a movie that was um really powerfully emotional and also just scary on a brainstem level where you're like, everything is falling apart, my family is gone, was when the brother, after the sister's death, um the demon is sort of like freed, it's sort of like freed and knows that it is supposed to travel to the boy's body. And there is a point at which things start to get really weird for this kid. He's clearly scared. He's a kid, he's a teenager. And there's a point when that woman who is the wonderful actress, Joni,
Yeah,
who, yeah,
and
Joni, the
Dowd.
character,
Yeah.
yes, is across the street and is
Oh,
saying his name, like, I cast you out. And he's sort of like, what the hell is going on? And he's sort of like, maybe losing his mind. He has no idea. And so there was then after that, I think he was sitting in class and he turned to look at there was a bookcase there which showed his reflection. And he was very, scared and sort of dour. And he looked in there and the reflection was smiling evilly. That creeped me out more
back
than,
at him. His own
yes.
reflection was smiling back at him.
Hmm.
I agree
Yes.
totally. That was the
That
scariest
was
moment.
And there's a lot. This is also kind of like, probably every horror movie that is psychological can deal with psychological issues like, um, you know, mental illness. And this was definitely something that could have, that could definitely have that as well. I mean, Tony Collette was saying, like, her brother was schizophrenic and killed himself. There was like another family member who did, and it makes you kind of go, is this literal? Because the son, or her brother who had committed suicide was saying that he did that because his mom was trying to put people inside of him,
Right.
which was clearly the demon. So it's like, is this a long line of mental illness? Or is it really demonology? Or is it both? Or does it not even matter? Could it be both?
Yeah, and they were having that ceremony at the end, and maybe it was just a ceremony of disturbed people, and Peter was just standing there not knowing what was going on. Although I have to say, seeing Toni Collette fly around and behead herself was extremely creepy.
Oh, yeah. She's crawling along the ceiling and the walls.
That and shooting around in the very end, and Gabriel Byrne bursting out in flames. That was that was a good scary ending for me.
Yeah, that was deeply intense.
Yeah, that got me on a primal level. That was good. This is why I watch these movies during the day. Even though I'm alone, I watch these during the day.
It's reassuring when you need it most.
Yeah. Watching Veronica, I had the dog on my lap yesterday. I was like, get over here and get on my lap and just be another warm body around here while I
save me
out. Yeah. So do you recommend Hereditary to scary movie fans out there?
I definitely do. I recommend it to I recommend this movie to anybody and everybody. I think it was smart. I think it was really lent itself to multiple interpretations, and I think it teaches you something about human nature. I mean, the raw emotions in this were really really raw. And they really got you to think about, I think, your own life, and it put you in some of those positions with them. And that was very intense, and I learned a lot.
Well said. I think based on just Toni Collette's performance alone, I recommend this movie to anybody that likes movies. There's some grisly parts in it for the general public, and I don't think this is a movie like my wife could watch because it's probably too scary for her. But just Toni Collette's performance alone, this movie needs to be watched. It's a remarkable performance by her, and this is a good, solid, scary, amazingly complex psychological thriller that is, I can see why so many people raved about it and wanted me to see it.
Yeah,
it was remarkable. So do we have any idea what we want to see next week?
I think we should probably put it into the comments section, because I have a few ideas, but I want to make sure that that you like them and are on board with them. So do you think we can do that after we post?
Oh, sure. We can do whatever you want. We can wait till next Thursday. It's fine with me. I don't care.
Okay. Sure. Okay, perfect.
Okay. Well, good. On behalf of Jenny and myself, thank you for watching. Please hit the like button. Please subscribe to OmniDog's Vault, and leave a comment. We answer all comments, and if you have any particular movies you think we should see, please leave those in the comment box. We respond to all comments, and as usual, peace and love, peace and love. Thank you, Jenny, for taking part in this broadcast.
Thank you.